Got it. Got it. Hi, everyone. Happy Tuesday morning. You're joining Melissa, myself, and Kelsey Ann on the Leaders Impact Lab. And every week we come, or at least almost every week, we try to come and bring you different leadership topics to discuss. And why we call it the Leaders Impact Lab, it's an opportunity to just kind of explore these topics together to gain new perspective, for you to walk away with new insights and gold nuggets, things that you can start implementing right away, because I believe that leadership is a practice. It's not something to know, but it's something to do and to be. And when you start doing and being this leadership practice, you start seeing results right away. So that is my wish for you as you're joining us and you're listening in. Think about how you're going to use what you're hearing. Whatever is important, whatever stands out, think about how you're going to implement this today. And today we are talking about a super practical topic, which is, how do you use those end of year celebrations, those really awkward staff parties, whatever way, shape, or form they might look like for you, and use them as a leverage point to start off next year strong with your team. And I've got three specific ways, three specific things that I do for myself, and they almost come second nature because I'm so used to weaving them in to how I approach team gatherings that help me strengthen my team in the process. And it doesn't feel so much like an icky, weird, strange, forced get together. So if you'd like to know how I do that, please stay on. I'm going to walk you through, I'm going to give you some examples of how you might incorporate this in your own get together, whatever it looks like for you this end of year. So let's start with introductions, especially if we haven't had a chance to meet. My name's Melissa, and I am an executive coach and a management consultant. I work with leaders, I work with their teams, and I help leaders build up performance at the leadership level, at the team level, and at the organizational level. And I help them do it by focusing on people and implementing leading people first strategies. And as a happy outcome, they are building up their team and their organizational culture. So to create a place where it feels good to show up to work and go work together every day. I don't know about you, but I like enjoying my work. I like enjoying the people that I work with. I don't want to feel like I have to drag myself out of bed to go to work. So let's create more workplaces like that. That is my personal mission. So joining me today is Kelsey Ann. She is part of my team, and Kelsey Ann has been growing as a leader. She has been the 6 seconds world.
So we just blipped up. Yeah, we blipped out for a little bit.
I've been having lots of internet issues, so please bear with me. If I pop off, I will be right back on, but hopefully we won't get any further disruptions. So Kelsey Ann, what are your thoughts as we dive into this conversation about, team gatherings, holiday gatherings, and using these gatherings as a way to strengthen the team and get ready and strong to start 2023 on the right foot?
I'm really curious to see how our get together on Friday is going to compare to previous events that I've attended as for my occupation or my former partner's occupation, because there's been a wide variety of experiences had. And I would say that the focus was more or less relational, like in trying to just build relationships versus actually moving the needle and moving towards something like in reflection. And I think it's really interesting to see how that's going to kind of play, because obviously I know that I'm not going to be winning my Christmas bonus at a poker game or drinking my face off, right? Like that's
Yeah. No.
previous experiences, right? So, it's going to be really exciting for me to see how something simple like getting together for the holidays as a team can actually move that needle.
Yeah. And just to kind of like let your give you some information to help ease your mind. We've had team celebrations before. It's not any different.
And I didn't think so.
So from an emotional intelligence standpoint, because you just spent the last few weeks studying emotional intelligence and really taking a deep dive, what's notable, what's important about emotional intelligence and maybe the way that we approach these team gatherings?
I think to kind of slow down that process of, the hustle and bustle of the holidays. Oh, you got to get this, this is another thing on the list, got to get it checked off, got to get in, got to get out, and actually slow down to appreciate that process and what is actually going to happen naturally as we talk, like we did on the other, because as we're sitting here talking right now, I can realize that you've kind of done this process every time we've had a team gathering, just to kind of touch base, like what are we doing great? What are we going to do better next time? Just kind of, because we work virtually, we don't always, all our team members don't always touch on a regular basis. Like we, all have touch points with you. I have occasional touch points with Sandra, and you have touch points with Sandra, and not. So it's nice to actually sit down and have a meal, share time, but actually use it productively.
Yeah. And share quality time.
Yes.
Not throwaway time.
Mm-mm.
But it's also not time under pressure.
Right. And it's different than the co-working calls that we do.
Yeah.
Right. Where we're trying to achieve something to tick it off the box and say, okay, we accomplished that. Let's move on to the next thing.
Yeah. So here are the three things. If you are listening to us, please say hi. That strikes you, or something that you hear today that you're taking away, please drop it in the comments. I can bring you more of what you need when I know it's having an impact. All right, so join us. We love interaction. This is meant to be a collaborative experience, so participate. All right, so do you want to know number one, what I do as an expert in developing teams, what I do inside my team gatherings? Number one, celebrate past learnings and successes. Seems simple enough, but we don't do it, right? So let's talk about why. Let's start with why. Why would we celebrate past learning and successes? Care to share your thoughts on that, Kelsey-Ann?
I think to help kind of remind everybody that, you work together well and that you have accomplished things, and like to try to get that momentum, keep that momentum going. This is why we're here. This is what we're doing. This is what we do well.
It helps us, one, gain new perspectives. Because I could look at the past year and say it was shit. Or what we often say, it was a shit show, right? We all have a different perspective on the past year. And when we start talking about the past year with the focus of celebrating learnings, meaning, taking something
Failures.
away
Yeah.
from the fails.
Yep, exactly,
Something
because they're
productive.
going to happen.
And securing what was good. It changes our perspectives. It changes how we feel about the past. It also creates a foundation. Okay, so when it comes to change and progress, what we want to be doing is constantly confirming what's good. What are we keeping? What are we building up on? Almost like taking, a step up that staircase. You're putting in one, maybe two steps. You're moving it forward, but you're securing. You're saying, yes, I took this step and I took this step. And this is my foundation. So that next year, we're not going back 3 steps. We're focusing on the next one.
Mhm.
It's also building up our team identity. How we see ourselves as a team. When we have a chance to debrief what's happened in the last year.
Lots happened.
Lots has happened. And how have we been dealing with this? What does it mean about us as individuals, as a collective? So we can really strengthen that team identity with this kind of debrief. All right, so that's a lot of reasons why to bring in an element of celebrating past successes and past learnings. How do you do this? Well, you facilitate the conversation. So as a leader, you're asking questions to inspire people to put these things on the table. So you're facilitating by asking questions, by being supportive, by being curious, by asking what else. Not letting people get away with just giving a few surface answers. And you want to
Can you just rewind a few seconds?
I just noticed, yeah. So as a facilitator, it's your job to make sure that everyone's participating. You have extroverts who are just ready to jump in and to give their perspective, and you're going to have those introverts that fade into the background. So as a facilitator, you're looking to make sure that everyone has equal opportunity, because there is a lot to be gained from the ones who don't normally speak up.
Mhm.
All right, so that is the how. You facilitate a conversation by asking questions and supporting the conversation. Okay, what do you do? Well, for ourselves, our gathering is very easy. We go to a restaurant, we spend hours chit-chatting, okay? We order lots of foods. We enjoy the time that we have together. You may not have that type of setting. You might be in the office, you might be gathering in the staff room for a couple of hours, you might be going out. So for us, it's fairly easy because we're already sitting around a table. So if you are doing an activity where you're not going to have the opportunity to have a conversation, you might want to think about how you're going to weave that in. Maybe there is a separate meeting that you're going to have, an end of year celebration meeting, to have this kind of conversation, have it separately than your gathering. You could make it fun and have people submit their answers. And, fold it onto a piece of paper, put it in a hat, have different people read out the answers. So you're not giving your answer, you're reading out an answer that somebody else put in the pot. So there could be a lot of fun things that come out of that.
I was going to say, that's a different kind of white elephant kind of exchange.
Right. So that could be very fun as well. So what you're doing, think about the context that you're going to be in your gathering, and find a way to incorporate that, or consider having an add-on kind of a meeting type get together around a table where you can have these conversations. All right, number 1, celebrate past successes and past learnings. Want to know what's number 2? Number 2 is really important. Number 2, we miss the ball all the time. Okay. Number 2 is share meaningful, let me underscore, meaningful appreciation. We say thank you all the time, and it's meaningless. If you say thank you to someone every day, they say, well, I hear it, but I don't believe it. Thank you isn't enough. So how do you turn a thank you into something that's meaningful? Well, let's go to the why. Why is appreciation important? Kelsey-Ann, why is appreciation important?
Because it's part of the, I want to say it's part of the triangle, like having appreciation and knowing that you're, you just froze up on me there. Knowing that you're appreciated, it's part of that needs. I'm trying to spit it out. I'm not done my latte yet.
Yeah, it's part of our needs. It's satisfying a need. It helps reinforce what we're doing right. If I'm doing something right and I never hear appreciation or never know that it's appreciated, why would I continue it? But if you give me appreciation, it's satisfying a need. Therefore, if I do X, I get an emotional reward. Mm-hmm. Where I want to keep doing X.
And I think sometimes, especially in our situation where we're working remotely, I think sometimes we don't necessarily understand the other person's perspective or viewpoint or appreciation of how doing X has really helped the other person to be able to do their job or to do their job better.
Yeah. So, and that really starts getting into the how. How do you give meaningful appreciation? So thank you isn't enough. You can be more specific, or, from a general perspective, a more general perspective, you might say something like, thank you for being so thoughtful. Okay, that's still pretty general. And the more specific you make your statement, the more meaning it carries. Thank you for being thoughtful. I really appreciated when client X was having a difficulty with Y and you did Z. Super specific. Take it up a notch, add the impact. when you did that, this is how that impacted me. I didn't have to deal with a screaming client. I didn't have to deal with a team who didn't know what to do. You picked up that ball and you made it really easy for us to win and the client to feel heard. And that really aligns with the values of who we want to be as a company.
That has meat to it.
Yeah. How did it feel hearing that?
It felt good hearing it because you weren't just saying something, a blanket statement, but also knowing, okay, like you said, when I do X, Y, or Z, it's actually impacting my employer, client, my team members, myself. You don't sometimes realize that whole picture because you're so zoomed in on what you're doing at your desk, that then to have the leader's perspective given to you, like, yes, what you're doing at your desk is actually impacting all of these people in a positive way. Because I also think too, so many times when we're talking with a leader, it's like reprimanding, it's reminding, or you feel like you're in trouble almost, or not in trouble, but that you're being held accountable, or you're facing problems that you're having, to figure out solutions for, or you're having difficulties, whatever it is. It's nice to hear from your leader and other people on your team at all levels how you personally are impacting them and the work that they do.
Yeah. So share meaningful appreciation by adding specifics and showcasing the impact. Help connect those dots into a whole new level. This is about quality, not quantity. You can say thank you 3 times a day for the next year, and it's not going to mean a thing. All right. Now, what do you do to bring this to your team gathering? So what are you going to do? There's a few different ways of doing this. One I would recommend, depending on the size of your team and how many people are sitting around the table, I recommend verbally expressing this appreciation for each person in front of the others. There is an added layer of need satisfaction there because they're being recognized in front of their peers. It is also helping shape how their peers are seeing them. Okay, so it's shifting the perspective of every single person sitting around that table. And it is saying something about you. What they're learning is what you as a leader will reward. So if I hear Yvette being rewarded for X behavior, I am much more likely in the next year of doing X behavior. A reward.
You rewind 2 seconds?
Absolutely. So if I'm sitting around the table, I hear my team member being praised or appreciated for a certain behavior, I am much more likely to take on that behavior in order to get the same type of recognition and reward. So that's one way of doing it. You can write it inside a card. I would do both. You can do it one-on-one. You can weave it into when you're doing your performance reviews, your end of year meetings, whatever they look like. You can have your staff do it amongst themselves. So if you do it so that the staff are appreciating each other, you want to give them a format, right? I just gave you a format. Thank you for blank. When specific situation, specific impact. Okay, so you can lay out a template for them to use and to give each other appreciation. Now you're strengthening, again, the team's identity and their bond. All right, so number 2, share meaningful appreciation. I really do hope that you take away that nugget and use it. If you only do this, it will serve you well. Number 3 is create alignment through a worthwhile future. Create alignment through a worthwhile future. So what that means is being able to create a worthwhile future that is not just worthwhile for the company, but that is worthwhile for the individuals on your team. And why we want to do that is we know that when individuals are excited about their own future, you're creating an emotional commitment.
So you're creating the emotional commitment.
So creating the emotional commitment to their future. So if I'm excited about my future, I'm committed to it. I have an emotional investment in my future. So if you tie the future that I'm excited about for myself into the future of the business, now you're creating engagement that's tied to the business. This is the perfect time of year when people are taking stock of what they care about, what's important to them. They're slowing down. They're looking at the world around them. They're deciphering what's working, what's not working, what they want more of, what's really important. So this is the time. The how, so getting into the how, is listening for what's important, asking and listening for what's important, tapping into what lights a spark for individuals. And then you can start figuring out how you bring that to the table. If we had a physical office, Kelsey Ann would be, director of plant therapy. Right?
Yeah.
And you would enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because I know that Kelsey Ann has more than 100, maybe more than 200 plants in her house. She has a deep love of plants. It's important to her. She goes out of her way to take care of plants and to bring plants to other people. And it might seem trivial. However, if Kelsey Ann was excited to bring plants to the workplace and that was contributing to our climate, how would that feel to you?
Feel pretty good.
Mm-hmm. In what way?
Because it's something that, I believe in my core, that plants are therapy and that they, belong everywhere. In the workplace, at home, in the hospitals, everywhere.
Yeah. I learned this by listening to Kelsey Ann on one of our lunches. I just asked questions and I learned this about her. We went to an expo this fall, and what did I ask you?
Goodness, I don't
Bring
remember.
plants. Can you
Oh,
be in
yes,
charge
yes,
of
yes.
She came, she had beautiful plants, she organized them, she set up the space, and she did that with excitement.
Mhm.
I didn't want to set up the space. I didn't want to take care of the plants. So get to know what people care about. And even though it may not seem relevant, in my world of coaching, plants, yeah, they're not really part of my day to day, except I was still able to find something important to one of my staff members and weave it in. So what do you do in order to get to know what's important to your staff in the team holiday team gathering setting?
You have to ask questions and then you have to listen. And a lot of the time, I'm guilty of it, and this has made going down the and taking the unlocking EQ course. Um, all too often, we're listening to respond. We're not necessarily listening to actually hear the answer and then take the moment to process it and then reply.
Yeah. So we can ask questions about, my internet seems to be unstable here. That's why I took a moment. Am I
Yeah,
good?
yeah, it's good now.
Okay. So asking questions, what was important for you this year? And what do you want more of in the new year? When you're not at work, how do you spend your time? And then getting curious about those answers. Ooh, what is it about plants? When did this, spark? Where did this come from? What do you think about plants? What do you believe about plants? In what ways are you bringing this into your life? We can play games. You can certainly incorporate different types of games for people to be able to express those things that are important to them. One of the things that I love to incorporate, and if you've worked with me, or you and your team has worked with me, you'll see me show up with some of these. They're called thumb balls. And what you do is you take these fun little balls and you throw them around the room, and wherever your thumb lands is what you answer. So here I have 2 cookies I enjoy. So I might tell you about 2 cookies I enjoy, or I might tell you cookies are, a thing for me because I'm gluten-free and I don't feel like I've had a good cookie in the last 10 years. But I used to love them. My grandmother made cookies all the time. Cookies were a part of life. So I really miss cookies.
So what do you enjoy instead of cookies then, would be my question for you. Like your sweet treat
Ah,
that is friendly for your belly.
I do have treats that I enjoy. I also miss ice cream, because ice cream is, and now I can't have dairy, so dairy, gluten, so all these things I can't eat. My dietary needs are so complicated. My sister is a baker, and she will make gluten-free foods baking for me. And my birthday, or when she has the ability to make food. She's pretty busy with 2 kids at home, but that's really meaningful to me.
Mm-hmm.
What's the theme?
Personal. I'm listening. I'm learning about you as a person, not as my employer. You're becoming more human to me.
Why I like cookies, my grandmother. My substitute is not a food, it's my sister. This is actually about relationships.
Mm.
And if you dug into it more, you would learn that I actually enjoy eating goodies with others. I don't like eating it by myself. The whole joy of cookies is sharing the cookies. It's sharing the cake. It's sharing, doing
That
it with
quality time.
It's really about quality time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to get in my good graces or build a relationship with me, don't just bring me gluten-free cookies. Bring gluten-free cookies while we sit down and enjoy them together.
Mm-hmm.
Add coffee, you're gold. Right? So this was just kind of like an example of what it would look like. And those thumb balls are really fun. You throw them around the room. It's random. You don't know when it's coming your way. You don't know what questions you're going to answer. It's spontaneous. So the true selves start coming out because people don't have time to think and polish. You're starting to get true versions of people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
And
just
it's
one
not,
way.
they're not forming their answer while, employee number one is giving their answer. And then, that same question is going to be asked to, 1 through 11 or whatever.
That's very true. If you don't have a thumb ball and you don't have time to get one, you can okay, there's many different things. This is what I'm good at. You can use one of those wheels. There's something called wheel of names, and then you can create a wheel and you can create different questions to go on the wheel, and you can use that so that if you're doing it in a virtual setting, or even if you're together and you have the opportunity to connect to the internet, so you can use it as a giant wheel to randomize questions that are being asked. If you want to make it something that you can manually bring with you and use, pieces of paper, fold it up in a hat or in a bowl or in a whatever, and people can pick a question. Or you can do it just like a discussion. Like for us, we're going to be sitting at a table. There's not going to be anything fancy. Although I could, you never know, between now and Friday, I could. But likely it's going to be more in the form of a conversation and being curious about each other and just talking about what's top of mind right now and what's going on in life and what's going on when they're not at work.
Mm-hmm.
And connecting as humans. So as we get to know people and what they really care about, we can start weaving that into every day, and we can start weaving that into our goals, and we can start creating more alignment, more engagement. Now, this is also a beautiful time of year to do goal setting. So if you're at the end of the year and you have a practice of doing performance reviews, okay, you can pad that performance review with goal setting and learning plans. And goal setting can be done individually in a group setting where people are tapping into what's important to them. And there is a type of goal setting that I like to do. It's called the triangles of success, and it infuses emotional intelligence and what's important to the individual in order for them to set up their goal. Then that goal can be weaved into the learning plan and how they're going to weave in what's important to them into their everyday work, and more importantly into the goals that you're after.
Mm.
So creating alignment. A lot of different ideas I've brought to the table today. I'm hoping that you can pick up 1, 2, maybe 3 ideas that you can bring in and weave into your end of year staff party in order to strengthen and start off 2023 strong. So the 3 steps that I mentioned to you today is celebrate past learnings and past successes. Number 2, share meaningful appreciation. And number 3, create alignment through a worthwhile future. Tap into what's important. Those are the 3 things that so this is not just doesn't just happen at the end of the year, but anytime I get together with my team, I weave in these 3 things. It's always present. It's become now second nature. It's not weird. Kelsey Ann, you don't find it weird?
Nope.
All of this is familiar.
Yeah.
And it's real. It's a real experience. It's real quality time. It's real connection.
Mm-hmm.
So say hi if you've enjoyed this video. Say hi. Let me know what you're taking away, and enjoy your holidays. And just as a little side note, if you have been thinking about working with me, if you've been thinking about leadership development, team development, if you really want to be serious about taking these leading people first strategies and incorporating them for yourselves, getting a custom design to implement, my prices are going up next year. However, if you book your call in now before the end of the year, you will be grandfathered in at the 2022 prices. So it doesn't mean that we're going to talk this year, because this is the last week that I'm in the office, but it means that you're going to be in my calendar for the new year. So you're already going to have secured your spot, and you'll be grandfathered in if you decide to work with me. But you have to take that action of securing your spot in my calendar before the end of this year. So Kelsey Ann, can you drop the link in the chat? Oh, I see Anna's with us. Hi, Anna. So drop the link and book yourself in my calendar. And I'm looking forward to talking in the new year. And if we are, I will be asking you how you've incorporating these 3 things in your end of year holiday staff party. Bye, everyone. Enjoy.